Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director, and I'm here with my co-host, the birthday boy, Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, 39 holding?
39 plus 7 and holding, brother. My hair's never looked better. I feel great.
I want you to bring back that hairstyle you had on that one show.
Golly, you sent a picture of that. I was embarrassed. That was awful. True story. I'm sitting there. I always told my wife and I, we sit in my family, we sit in the balcony at church. We got time for this?
Yes.
And we looked down on this gentleman for years, and he had a full head of hair, but he had this big white dinner plate right here.
That's where I'm heading.
And I kept saying, "That I don't look like that, do I?" No. I said, now you tell me. No, you don't look like that. And so I'm like, if I do, you got to tell me. So she's got one of those computers where the pictures scroll, and I'm sitting there one day in the house walking by, and I looked at, and I see this man, he's down on one knee. He's got the biggest bald spot I've ever seen in my life, and he's talking to my middle son's flag football team. And I'm thinking, who? And it hit me. That was me. I went in the bedroom. I said, "You've been lying to me." And I shaved my head that night.
You did?
Yep, promise. I'm kind of glad.
Well, if it means anything to you, you look great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Tate, this is my favorite game coming up, the region basketball semifinals. I think that game is more exciting than almost the region finals or even the state tournament first round.
Really?
That region semi is kind of the one.
Because it's do or die?
Well, because you know you're going to be one in the region finals, and you know also no matter what happens, you're one game away from the state. That one has a different feel of almost any of them.
How many of those you playing? You remember?
6.
6. I'm going to say you were 4-2. 3-3.
5-1.
Whoa, my man. By the way, this was not scripted.
It wasn't scripted.
Nobody's going to believe that. 5-1. Hillsborough got you?
Wilson Central.
Wow.
Wilson Central, 54-50 at Clarksville. Had the lead with 3 minutes to go and got beat.
Still remember it.
And then Wilson Central comes over here and beats Brentwood, which we would have too, by the way.
Wow.
Should have been 6-0.
Dennis King, if you would like to confirm this, I still have the same phone number.
He will confirm Wilson Central beat them.
Amen.
That was 2012.
Those were great games back then.
Great games.
Great teams back then. Fun. Kind of like now. Well, I will say this, and I know you're going to get to it. If you're saying this is the most exciting round, if it's anything more exciting than the 11 AAA Boys District Championship, I'm in. Can't wait to go.
That was great. I can't wait to talk about that. Before we do, though, Tate, let's talk about the Gateway Tire Players of the Week. Again, thanks to Garth Bolden. Does a great job promoting athletics here in WCS.
Home of the Yokohama Tire.
Oh, which I don't even know what that means.
It's a good tire. That's what you need.
Lexi Erickson from Ravenwood. Johnny McFeldhacker, who we talked about a lot last week, of Brentwood High School. So congratulations to them. Now, let's start with this, Tate, when we're talking basketball. Girls District Tournament. So last week when we were doing the show, right, we were getting ready to have those games. Page playing Brentwood. We both said Brentwood would win that game. It didn't happen. Page ends the 25-game winning streak with a 48-46 win. And they do that in spite of Amelia Osgood throwing in 31 points. So great win for Page. Great win for Page.
I don't know. We'll find out here in a few days maybe. Osgood had how many points? 30-ish.
31.
31. Trucials had their lowest point totals of the year. So maybe you know, did they say, okay, we're going to let Osgood get Osgoods. We are going to do whatever we have to do to keep the Trucials down. Because obviously when all three of them are scoring, you're dead in the water.
Dead in the water.
Was that just a coincidence that was the game that they lost first time in 26 games? Or was it designed?
You should have asked Coach Brock this weekend on your show.
Well, I wanted to talk. Plus,
and he probably wouldn't have told you
there's
anyway.
A good chance they're going to play again, so I was pretty sure he wouldn't go there.
The smart money's on them playing again. They're both in the region semis now, which we'll get to.
Sure.
But in that particular game, by the way, MVP of the tournament, Mackenzie Cochran, 15 points. Delaney hit the big three.
Did you see it?
Of course, saw it in several angles, several ways, by the way. I know you did too.
It was Reggie Miller land to you younger men and women, boys and girls. Steph Curry land.
Was Spike Lee on the front row? talking stuff to Reggie Miller.
Might have been. There was somebody on the front row. And that wasn't the only big downtown three she hit either. That just happened to be the one at the end.
No,
big time.
It was a big one.
Yeah.
It was a great game, great atmosphere again, and you get the feeling too. And I think everybody in the building thought, okay, they'll play again, and I think they will.
They're playing again.
I think they will. All tournament team for that particular championship game and that tournament, Reagan Grimes from Ravenwood, Taylor Penning, Marley Anderson from Summit, Osgood, and Emily Truschel from Brentwood. MVP, like we said, Mackenzie Cochran, but also Lily Wilkin, Delaney No, which brings me to Joins Gym this week.
I know.
All three of those players are coming back. Hey, District
I
11.
think Wilkins is a sophomore.
She's a sophomore. Hey, guys, Paige is really good, and we all will acknowledge that. And guess what? Those three are coming back next year to torment you.
Something tells me Coach Brock will be back too. Kind of hard to retire.
I would think so.
Like that.
He's not going to spend more time with his family yet. Which, by the way, this brings me to.
Who was that a shot at?
Well, no. So here was the thing. So I would jokingly said this to my old principal at Beach, Frank Cardwell. I said, you know what? When we have a terrible team, I'm going to come out and say, you know what? It's time for me to walk away and spend more time with my family. You know what he said? You better check with your family first.
That's true.
So I thought that was great. He always witty.
He was a sharp cat.
Very witty. Now, let's talk about that boys district championship.
Yes.
You end up with a 3 and 4 seed in the final. Dixon's 3, Franklin's 4, right? They end up in the championship game. You know the stat that really, and it was a great game, by the way.
Great game.
Emotional game. Obviously, Coach Tigert coached at Dixon last year, loves those kids. They love him. They're playing Dixon in that final, which makes that, maybe even ramped
Tough.
up even more.
Yeah.
But the stat that really stood out to me, if this is true, Franklin had 12 turnovers, which is fine. To me, 15 or less is great. Dixon,
That's unheard of in a game.
I've never heard of that. I'm telling you, I've never heard of it. So if the stats were kept correctly, I've never heard of stats that low. Great game, though.
Great game, and it was at Independence.
At Independence.
From everything I've gathered, everybody said they've run a great tournament. I've seen a few media members ask if they could hold other regions tournaments or districts tournaments.
Mary Beth White,
Yeah.
Dr. Weiss, Dr. Patton, great job out there.
Great job. And we're used to it here in Wilco, but what a great crowd it was.
Oh, wow.
It was full. It was loud the entire time. It was a great, great game, man. I mean, especially if you were not a Franklin fan or a Dixon fan, my gosh, you got your money's worth.
Dixon goes on an 11-4 run in the final 222 to win that game. Kemp ends up with 30, Matt 30, Thurman 15. Your boy, the human pogo stick, Aiden Smiley had a great game, 14. It just seemed like one of those games. Who had the ball last? Although Franklin had it last, but it was a tough shot they had to take.
Yeah.
But it was just, if the game would have ended 30 seconds later, 30 seconds earlier, could have been the other way. But what a game.
Yeah,
and great job by Franklin.
And Franklin almost put them away. And then they didn't. They went on that run. And I meant to write his name down. You might know.
Jaden Davis.
Jaden Davis.
Made some
What
great
a
plays.
performance, man.
26, I think.
Because there was enough people from Dixon there that half the town was there. That performance will be talked about in 10 years, 20 years, 5 years. I mean, he just went off.
I think they had 3/4 of the crowd, too.
Yeah.
Well, I told Coach Tigert this later.
Over half.
2/3 minimum. 2/3, 66, 75. Anyway, splitting hairs here.
I'm going with 68.9.
Well, but here's what I think happened. And to me, you want to be this team if you're Franklin. It was the Dixon crowd, the Franklin crowd. Anybody neutral was pulling for Dixon.
For sure.
But that's okay. The
want that.
defending champion, so I think that's fine. Yeah. But they had a great crowd. And Franklin's crowd was nice, too. Everybody standing up. But then the rest of that gym, wow, to me looked pretty strong Dixon. And I was told to expect even bigger and better in the semis when they take on Summit of the region tournament.
Really?
So we'll see. I think
get there early is what you're saying.
Get there early.
Yeah. No, it was cool. And who would have thought, if I'd have told you, if you didn't know anything, and I told you Kemp
Which
had
I don't,
30,
by the way.
No, if you didn't know anything about the game. Hey, what about the game, man? Kemp had 30, Thurman had 15, Smiley had 14. All right, man. Good for
Great
them.
win.
No, they got beat.
No, it's incredible. Both teams I thought played really well.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things you look back on if you're Franklin. You're disappointed that you lose, but still played well. Missed some free throws there at the end, but those things happen. I mean, you can't. I've never thought that one play or one call or one miss, one turnover, it's a whole game. Those things just maybe stand out a little bit at the end of a game.
And the way they play, if you haven't seen them play, I mean, they're obviously not the biggest team in the district, and if they ever have an off shooting night, they're probably in trouble. But they were on, man.
They were.
And then, like I said, Davis, he, you've seen. I think you've talked about some performances Chamberlain's had. We dang sure know there were some Reese Glover ones, but Davis at some point said, "Get on my back, and I'll get you there," and he did.
Very memorable. All-tournament team, Reed Kemp, Aiden Smiley from Franklin, Evan Drennan from Brentwood, Trey Carlton, Destin Wade from Summit, and we mentioned the MVP, Jaden Davis. Now, let's take a look at our region bracket. So not only do we have the championship since our last show, the region tournament starts. Again, this is the AAA region tournament. We'll start off with, Captain, my captain. Why are you putting that on?
We had a boat race.
Who was driving?
Ron Brock had Kid Rock blaring over the Bose system. Down, 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 down. That's all summer long, by the way.
80-22 over McGavick.
Do I need to break that down? That is basketball equivalent of Boat Race City.
Yes, it is.
Popcorn. Claus was over there.
Whatever.
He was already eating popcorn in the second quarter. He had to get 2 popcorns.
He may have, maybe with that score, he's probably getting popcorn during warm-ups.
What do you think? Do you think we could get Coach Brock to wear the boat captain hat?
They go to the state tournament, he'll wear whatever we want him to.
I think it'd be awesome.
Which I think, again, is very much in play. Hey, Hillsboro Summit game. Tough loss for Summit. They were up 37-33 with like 45 seconds left. Obviously, Hillsboro's a very good team, number 2 seed from that league. I thought we might sneak out at least 3, maybe 4. If you would have told me 11 AAA wins 3, I would have said that was the girls' side.
Correct.
It turns out being the boys' side. But tough loss there for Coach Wild and Summit. But they really got it together at the end of the year. They were healthier at the end of the year. If they would have had that full-strength team a month ago, man, what might have been?
Yeah, I agree. I wish we could have seen that, but, that's the hand they were dealt. And you were talking about Page having everybody back. Coach Wild, he's been around. He doesn't use, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't talk about how special a group is a whole lot unless they're pretty special. He's big on this freshman class.
He has some players that you haven't seen even play this year.
That's right.
And plus you bring Ellie back,
Yep.
who's obviously a difference maker. Cane Ridge, 62, Ravenwood, 44, and then Brentwood, 68-37. Now, let's talk semis. Page, Hillsboro, Cane Ridge, Brentwood. I just think there's no way those 2 lose. I think they both win comfortably.
Yeah, I think so too. But that's that's the importance, and it happened to Franklin on the boys' side. That's the importance of winning that district championship. In my opinion, there's a big difference between Cane Ridge and Hillsboro. I mean, I know they're 1 and 2. I don't think there's that big of a difference in Brentwood and Page. I think they're both really good. But Cane Ridge, Joanne Tribute does a good job.
Great job.
So it's not like you're going to go out coach them. They've got athletes. So I think Brentwood wins, but I think you would too, I'd much rather be playing Hillsboro than Cane Ridge.
No doubt about it. This time next week, we're going to be talking about both those teams' sub-state games, so I got a feeling.
That's going to be fun.
Let's hope that happens. All right, let's talk about the boys' side. Dixon County 60, Hunters Lane 42. And it goes to show you the difference in winning the district and not winning. Dixon beats Hunters Lane by 18. Hunters Lane wasn't beating any team from 11 AAA. Franklin, on the other hand, gets Hillsboro.
Yeah.
That last shot by Jaden Davis not only meant a district championship, it means Franklin played Hillsboro. Hillsboro-McGavick had a tough district final, but Hillsboro played great. Franklin had a very poor shooting night, 2 for 26 from 3, and Hillsboro just rolls, 64-46. So I know that's a disappointing ending to Franklin, or for Franklin, but that was going to be a tough matchup for anybody playing Hillsboro.
I think so too, and we've talked about it. Everybody in your world knows Hillsboro under Coach Thweet, man, they start playing their best
doubt.
basketball this time of year. He's not worried about regular season record. They're going to be tough, defend, rebound, and they make it. And obviously, they're athletic as well. So everybody wants to stay away from Hillsborough come, region tournaments, just because history shows they're going to advance come this time of year. So bad matchup for Franklin, and then who would have thought it's going to happen sooner or later, but the one night to shoot poorly. I mean, Reed Kemp hadn't done that all year long.
No, and I'm sure we can.
Ball just wouldn't go in the back. I'm sure Hillsborough.
Sure, they have something to do with it.
But I think it was also probably one of those nights. But
Yeah, no
you're
doubt.
right. Matchups. And then I think the same thing, we talked about it. I think Summit, we talked about this. We thought Summit actually matched up best with Cane Ridge. And we saw what happened there. So, yeah, man, Dixon County wins that. I mean, Franklin wins the district championship. Who knows? We're talking about a totally different result.
It's all part of it at the end of the season. It's part of the good and bad luck of the tournament.
Yep.
Who you play, when you play them. And Franklin had beaten Hillsborough, by the way, 49-43 at Hillsborough.
Right.
And this was a neutral site. But like you said, Coach Thweet gets his team going the right direction. But great year by Coach Tigert and Franklin. And believe me, they'll be back. Literally, every one of them will be back.
You've raised the expectation of the program when you win 20-plus games and you're heartbroken when it,
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Summit, as you mentioned, defeats Cane Ridge 62-47. And then to me, the win of the first round was Brentwood beating McGavock. McGavock had just won the district tournament. McGavock has all those starters back from last year's team, trending in the right direction. And what happens? Brentwood beats them 73-66.
Yeah.
Hats off to the Bruins.
And how did they beat them? Free throws.
18 for 20 in the fourth quarter.
18 for 20 in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
It's hard to do.
It's hard to do.
Team basketball, rebounds, not even doing it full strength. Was it Drennan? Drennan went out. Didn't
He went down late. Yep.
Yeah. Sophomore. I saw Jake Brock stepped up again.
Winley, 23 points.
Winley, 23. That was a big-time win, man,
Big time.
by a team and by young men that have been there the past few years.
Let's talk about the semis. Let me get your thoughts there. Dixon Summit.
I think some people disagree with this. I think Summit.
I'm going with Summit.
I think Summit causes Dixon problems.
Yep. I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
But
There'll be a lot of orange and navy.
yes, there will be. There will be a lot of orange and navy. And then Brentwood Hillsborough.
Every time I pick against Brentwood, they win. So probably the best thing for me to do would pick Hillsborough. I really think Hillsborough is really, really good. And we just talked about, I think they play well this time of year. But how do you go against, Brentwood was the number one seed for a reason. They won 2 regular season games.
Yes.
That's a tough one, man. Right now, are we doing pick'ems now or later?
No, it's big picking now.
I'll go with Brentwood.
I've got to stick with WCS on these two.
Yeah.
I'm going WCS over non-WCS.
Yeah. I think Brentwood wins, but that one's – again, I'd rather be playing Dixon than Hillsborough.
I agree. I definitely agree.
And that's no shot at Dixon. I think they've done an unreal job.
No, they have. They have. All right, let's talk Double A. Fairview girls lose in the first round of the region to Nolensville 64-30. Tough breaks there for Fairview at the end of the year with some injuries. 5 of their last 6 they lose, but they still end up 15-15 with a young team. Great season, Coach McGowan and Fairview, and they're going to be back too. So congratulations to them.
He won't because of the other performances that were done, but 15-15, I'm not so sure he doesn't deserve Coach of the Year.
Yeah, 10-4 in the league. 10-4 in that league.
Yeah. Big step forward this year.
Big step forward. Fairview boys, first round of the region, we talked about this. By winning the district, Forest had upset Giles County. Forest was a 4-win team. Nothing you want more than a first-round region game against a 4-win team.
You'll take that all day long.
They win 57-43. And, I thought about this. Last year Fairview had those high expectations, right? I think they were 28-2 going into the region. They lose to a very good Murfreesboro Central Magnet. Yeah. You fast forward a year, inexperience, have some injuries, but they've gone deeper. They're in the region semis as we speak against a Creekwood team that they can beat again.
Oh yeah, again is the key word. That's right. And I think that's a big part of, don't you? These guys have been there, man.
Yeah.
And
expectation.
Right.
They believe There's nothing like believing you can do it, and
Yep.
they believe in themselves.
They believe in it. Yep, and they've been there, and so I think it's pretty cool, man. And you've seen those teams before where the team before was better, but there was an early exit, and then the team after them is really good, but not quite as good, and they make the state tournament.
You talk about it all the time. Ravenwood football 2016 over the 15 team, right?
Yep.
15 team was the loaded team, right?
Well, they got a guy who's getting ready to get drafted, maybe two.
Getting beat in the final, which is that's not bad, right? The 16 team, you're like, well, rebuilding it, they win the whole thing.
Yes,
You just don't know.
it was awesome, dude.
Chemistry is a special thing too. It's hard to.
It's a team sport.
It is. It's an intangible that's hard to describe, but when you see it,
You know it.
you know it.
Yeah.
And those Fairview kids seem to have it.
Yep.
Let's talk Nowensville girls. Again, we talked about once it gets tournament time,
think
it's
they
going to
got
be
it?
go time. 50-37, they win the district championship over Marshall County. MVP was Parker Leftwich, also Sidney McCullen, and Cayman Ladd on the all-tournament team, all-district for the year. Leftwich along with Grace Baird and Zoe Pillar. Now they're lined up with Stewart County in the region semis. The game will be played at Community. Not to put any pressure on Coach Ladd and the Knights, but by the time this is on, it'll be over anyway. Stewart County has little to zero chance of, assuming Nowensville goes to the game, they're beating Stewart County.
I think so.
It's so much fun to just say that.
Little to zero. I like that.
No pressure on me like Stewart County. Get the plastic boxes out.
Smackdown.
Get the plastic boxes out. Wash the unis, fold them up nicely, put them away because you're going to get them out next November.
That's right.
It's over. Region semis are great though.
Make sure you got them all back. If you're giving them to your seniors, go ahead and send them to get framed. But it's over.
So if I get canned,
Smackdown.
if I get canned from this job, I obviously can't go get a job in Stewart County.
You got about as much chance of getting hired at Stewart County as Qualls does at Giles County.
Or Gallatin.
Thinking about you, Gallatin.
Nowensville boys, right? Dropped the championship game. They played Community great, really. 3 different times they played them pretty tight games. They lose to that very good Community team that had only lost 1 game, 63-53. And then they move on to the region tournament. And again, because of when Creekwood lost, really some would say Creekwood was the obvious best team from that district. But they end up losing the semifinal game at Fairview. Now you're in the wrong bracket, so to speak. Nowensville gets beat 87-80 in overtime. And something that stood out to me in that game, the overtime score was 25-18. That's in 4 minutes, by the way.
That's a lot of points.
That's a quarter of 100. Yeah, right. So if you go over a full game and you can keep that pace up, that'd be 50 a quarter.
That's the Rockets versus the Warriors.
Golly, I couldn't believe it.
Last year's Warriors.
That's right, 25-18. So anyway, great job by Stegall, Coach Stegall. They finished second in the district his first year. Definitely a rebuilding year.
Correct.
A couple of seniors, obviously Nathan Fouch is the one we all know about. But a lot of guys coming back for that team. I think you'll see a bigger and better and more experienced Nowensville team next year. But a really good start for Coach Stegall there.
I think for sure, yeah. He's got a lot to be proud of. And again, we're not in the excuse-making business. He got that job so late.
He did. Davin Watkins, Nathan Fouch on the all-tournament team in the district, which I didn't mention, and then Fouch and Max McAllister, all-district for the regular season. So great performance by them.
Congratulations.
All right, let's talk about this. So we got the region championship coming up. In fact, hold on just a second, because I didn't do this last week, and I hate to read all these names, but I feel like I need to because these people made it. So our all-district team for the regular season in 11 AAA, and I'll just name these by school. From Brentwood, Evan Drennan, John Winley. From Centennial, Patrick Garrett, Isaiah Poore, Dusty Williams. For Dixon County, we can skip them since they're not one of our teams. That'll save some time. Matt Thurman and Reed Kemp, who was the MVP from Franklin. Rishi Salitri from Independence. Blaine Burrow from Page. Rex Gaynor from Ravenwood. Trey Carlton, Keaton Wade from Summit. Coach of the Year, very well deserved, Greg Shirley, Brentwood. Any thoughts about those lists?
I think they got it. Don't you?
Yeah, and deserved it, right?
Deserved it. I think Reed definitely the MVP, and I think Coach Shirley definitely the Coach of the Year. Although there were some others that wouldn't have been, They wouldn't have been eyebrow raisers, but yeah, I mean, I think what they did in the regular season, you had to give it to them.
Well, and I think most people
And I'm happy for them.
would have said Coach Shirley's and Brentwood, they wouldn't have been totally surprised if they finished out of the top 4. And what do? They win the league outright. Yeah. Not tied, they win it outright. So congratulations to Coach Shirley and Brentwood. On the girls' side, the 3-headed monster. Osgood and the 2 Trucials. Delaney Trucial was MVP from Brentwood. Sheraton Foster, Centennial. Bergen Ali, Kate O'Neill, Franklin, Jalen Banks, Lindsey Freeman from Independence, Mackenzie Cochran, Delaney No, Lily Wilkin, all returning next year, right? From Page, Lexi Erickson, Reagan Grimes, Ravenwood, Taylor Penning Summit, Miles Thrash, Coach of the Year. Well deserved, but you and I also talked about it really could have been Coach Glazner too.
And it could have been Coach Brock.
Yeah, no doubt. No, yeah, sorry, Coach Brock, I let you out.
Yeah. But no, I think, you know, if you're not going with best team, yeah, I think Glazner would have been the guy. You want to talk about a good fundraiser, especially on the girls' side. If we had our own 3-on-3 tournament, who do you got? You got Brentwood with the Trucials and Osgood. You got Nolansville with Leftwich, Pillar, and Baird. Hey, Ravenwood could enter it.
Oh, no doubt about it. Hey, you look at Franklin,
That'd be pretty strong.
Franklin finishes 8th, and they've got 2 on the all-district team, so they've got to be thinking, hey, next year we're going to make a step. Although, you look at a team like Page with all those girls coming by, it's going to be tough.
Page would enter it too with
might enter it twice.
With no Cochran and Wilkin. Yeah,
they might have 2. Wilson, she's your sub, I guess.
We might be onto something.
The old 3-on-3. If it's the coaches playing, I want Thrash on my team.
Oh, that's not even close.
Glover-esque is what I've been told. Small guy.
My man,
really
Dr. Glover at Fisk, they bring him, I don't know if they still do, he might be too busy. They bring him in, these colleges bring him in and have him be the scout point guard against them. And he's like, we can't guard him, man. He's dropping 30 on our college kids.
That's great. Tate, so again, this time next week, we're going to be talking region championships in basketball, spring sports, getting started, although the weather outside makes it a little bit tough. But I love those sub-state games too now. Those games are electric
I do too.
as well.
I think, I know what you were talking about the region semis, but those sub-state games, sectionals.
Yeah, they're great.
I still call them sectionals. They're great. Those are going to be fun. And who knows, man, you might be burning up and down 840 a lot in the next month.
Could be.
I think we're going to be well represented in Murfreesboro.
No doubt about it. Tate, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming out on your birthday. I know
Thank
you're a
you.
busy man. There's probably all kinds of parties being planned for you by your family and your co-workers, and so I appreciate you being here.
Hey, nobody else I'd rather spend it with.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Sports Connection.